Songwriters, the hearts and minds that created our favorite songs. For a lot of music fans, the songwriter is someone who is never even thought about. They buy George Strait albums, for example, and never even look at the liner notes to see who's writing the songs. I mean, most folks associate All My Exes Live in Texas with George Strait, not the songwriter Whitey Schaefer. No judgment here. In my early years of being a music fan, I did the same thing. To learn the origins of your favorite hit songs, 9 out of 10 times, you have to research someone you probably have never heard of, and you may never see, get an award, or have their name on the marquee of a live music venue. The workhorses of popular music of any kind are the songwriters. These are the ladies and gentlemen who went through the joy or the painful life experiences and took the time to not only write them down, but a lot of times create the musical structure that becomes one of your favorite major label artists' signature songs. The first artist I'm going to shine some light on this episode of the podcast is a prime example of this. Steve Young, not the famous quarterback from the 49ers. Steve Young grew up in Gadsden, Alabama, so maybe that's why his musical style hits home with me. Or maybe it's because he wrote some songs that went on to be monster hits for some of my favorite artists. Steve Young's 1972 album had 3 songs on it that would go on to be the most successful songs of his entire career. Prime example is a song that most would associate with the great Waylon Jennings, and even would go on to become one of Waylon's signature songs, Lonesome, Ornery, and Mean. In 1973, Waylon released his version of the song, and even decided to name the album after the song. Although Waylon didn't release the song as a single, it became one of his signature songs. His delivery of the song really embraced his new outlaw sound of the early 70s. The outlaw movement was in full swing, and Hank Williams Jr. would follow Waylon's lead and also record a song from the same album. Montgomery in the Rain was another song that hardcore Hank Jr. fans still hold in high regard to this day, from his 1977 album, New South. Most folks don't even realize that Hank didn't write the song, and that another Alabama boy from Gadsden, Alabama did, Steve Young. But by far, Steve Young's biggest hit as a songwriter came in 1980, when the Eagles released a live version of his song 7 Bridges Road. Surprisingly, the song only reached number 21 on the charts, but still remains one of the Eagles' signature songs. Out of all the hits they had over the years, it may be their most unique song that they ever recorded. The 3-part harmony that the Eagles did on their version of the song is still mind-blowing to music fans to this day. Steve Young commented, "I didn't particularly like the Eagles' version of the song. I thought it was a little too bluegrassy, too gospel. But the more I hear it, the better it sounds. I bet it sounded pretty good every time he went to the bank to check his balance as well." The song was a Montgomery-based song. It was written about a road just outside of Montgomery, Alabama, called Woodley Road, which has 7 bridges throughout the roadway. When Young approached the producer of his debut album about including the song on the album, the producer told him it wasn't commercial enough. The song did end up making the album after they, quote, ran out of other songs. Young also put the song on 2 other of his solo albums before the Eagles recorded it in the early 1980s. I can see why he would want to put it on as many records as possible. There's just something magical about the composition of that song that really takes the listener down the back roads of the southern United States. Steve would continue to release his own solo albums for almost 40 years after his 1969 debut album. Young's son was quoted after his death in 2016, saying, his dad could have been a bigger superstar, but he wasn't shy about telling the record executives off whenever he felt like they were getting out of line. True outlaw stuff there. His son also felt like Steve never wanted too much fame anyway. After going back and listening to Steve Young's first few albums, it's really befuddling that he didn't have more success as a solo artist, especially during the outlaw movement of the 1970s. Steve Young's only radio success came in the form of his version of a Willie Nelson song entitled It's Not Supposed to Be That Way. Another fumble by the powers that be in the music business. One of the most talented artists of his generation never even had a hit singing his own incredible song.